Review Hour, Episode 5. I'm just redoing this intro because we've been recording for the past 15 minutes, but I didn't actually record this for posterity's sake. That was really stupid of me. But I'm here with my buddy Goro, and we are talking about the My Hero Academia Season 5, the end of Season 4, and the movie. So let's get right back into our conversation that was already in progress. Tell me what you think of good old Endeavor and Hawks.
Endeavor,
so you're telling me about how you were enjoying Hawks as the ultimate millennial hero, and you liked how he pushed him.
Yeah, and Hawks is he's almost like a thorn in Endeavor's side, basically. But in reality, he only does that just for show, just to make Endeavor look better. And yeah, and I think it really builds on both of those characters when he does that.
Yeah, that is true. I thought it was a really great introduction. I think Horikoshi knocked it out of the park with Hawk's design. And I think there's a reason why they included him in the movie, because they knew this guy's going to be a popular character. It doesn't matter if he could fit him in the story or if it even makes sense. We're going to just throw him in there.
So, I don't get how he can get the nickname Too Fast. I mean, yes, he had that whole introduction while he's walking with Endeavor, saving random people, saving a cat from a tree, stopping a flasher or whatever, while having this conversation with Endeavor. They didn't. Besides those moments, it didn't seem like he was too fast,
Well, the idea of why he's too fast is he's not supposed to be a speedster hero. What makes him too fast is the fact that he's progressing too quickly in life. So I forget if they showed this, but they have a little flashback where they showed Hawks and there's a 5-year-old, and then they look at him and he saves some person when he's 5. There's oh my god, this child is so incredible, he must become a hero. And the fact that he's he started a pro agency at the age of 18 and he's 22 now and he's the number 2 hero. This kid isn't earning the ranks, he's just going too far, and he didn't even go to a hero school. He's just going too fast. He's like Icarus. He's gonna hit the sun and he's gonna burn up. He's just gonna go
that's interesting. I never thought of him as Icarus. That's pretty interesting comparison. And Endeavor is like the sun.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to prop up the sun.
Or he's flying. He's gonna fly too close to the sun, and maybe he's realizing. I don't know what to make of that yet. But I feel like that metaphor is there somewhere.
That it is. He's trying to prop up the sun, and he's also trying to fly towards the sun because he's living fast and dangerous, which you'll learn about more why later on, because he just wants that perfect hero society where he can be lazy. He's the man who's moving so fast so he can take it slow.
Right.
And that's what makes him the cool, brash millennial hero. Although, for the episode before his introduction, though, it was a decent episode. I loved the content. I thought it was great material. Although I thought they did kind of a lazy job of adapting it. I thought they kind of did the bare minimum.
Oh, you mean of the rankings?
Well, in the anime, yeah, that episode.
Okay, yeah. I was just gonna say, the episode afterwards, they did not. Oh, yeah. They did not do that.
No. It was they were because overall, I think
they were saving their budget for that one last episode.
Yeah, because it felt like this season kind of it wasn't plus ultraing as hard as it could. Because there's only 2 real hyper plus ultra moments. There's the Deku versus Overhaul fight, and then there's the scene where then of course there's the Endeavor versus High End.
I would have been okay if they ended with Gentle and Deku and the what is it called, the concert. I would have been okay if they ended with the concert this season. But I really liked that story arc.
It was a great palate cleanser, and I've talked about at length of why I love the Gentle story arc and why I love the gentle criminal. Mm-hmm. The failure we can all relate to. But you got I think it's always better to either end on a bang or have a bang and then end on a quieter note that like sets the stage, and they did a fantastic job. Even if they skipped it a little bit on the episode before the hero rankings, I thought the plus ultraing with Endeavor was freaking amazing.
Yeah, I can't believe Endeavor actually said the words like plus ultra, like at that very last moment against the Nomo. That was kind of like, I thought he was gonna do his own thing, but he ended up instead like honoring the former number one in a way. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Well, and I didn't dislike it though.
One thing I loved about this arc, and one thing I loved about they did a great job of like making him a little bit more sympathetic, and I should have pointed this out in the video I made about it, was the fact that he's sort of like Endeavor, his cold nature is that he wanted to be number one, he tried, he failed, and it's because he knows what his body's limitations are. That if he gets too hot, he's going to burn out, he's going to burn up his internal organs. He's not a dumb guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to burn his internal organs. And his endeavor was to Endeavor's endeavor was to push back his limitations by finding his ice wife and ultimately breeding a child who would be better than him.
Yeah, you could sort of see that like in the anime too. Like his whole reason with raising a protege that could surpass him. How much that means to him.
And it casts it in a more sympathetic light here, where he's like, that's why I found you, that's why I had you, because I know that I can only go so far. This is as far as I can. But he's like, now I don't have that luxury anymore. I have to push past it. I have to go beyond. I have to incinerate this thing. And they did a great scene of like just establishing the chaos of like what it looks like he's fallen, how all hope is lost, especially with the brutal eye wound. And then him just like pushing beyond and seeing that like, this is how I'm going to be the symbol, my own symbol. Just something who pushes beyond and stands firm, even if I'm not as likable as All Might.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
If All Might is the dad that like you want to come, tell you did a good job at baseball, Endeavor is the dad who pays all the bills on time.
But he's also the emotionally and maybe physically abusive dad as well.
Yeah, there's also that
really knows about
that nobody really knows about, but
behind the scenes.
But in his own way, he's like trying to atone for that, and I do love his story arc that we've seen before, and we're gonna see later on. There's some other details that the Todoroki house, you're gonna see more of it, where he knows that he can't forgive he can't be forgiven, but at least he can try, and that is the most heroic battle beyond his conflict with High End.
Right. So I wanted to touch a little bit about that, like how the kids, all his kids were like watching him at first. Like at first they were visiting his mom, his wife, and they were like, "Oh, Dad's such a fucking asshole. I don't want to even talk about him." And the wife was like, "Oh, he gets me these flowers all the time, and I only mentioned them once. Like he still has some good qualities to him, even if he did some bad things in the past." And it's the start of like shift of perspective of like how you might see Endeavor, and then they actually watch him fighting this Nomu, and there's kind of like you can feel the inner turmoil with the kids. And like how like they despised him for most of their lives, but they still root for him to win. It had a really big emotional impact, I feel.
It was a great moment. Well, it's interesting because like on one way you could say it's kind of lazy that like, oh, here's this super strong thing and it just comes and it's gonna be a fight monster. And that's sort of Horikoshi being kind of like, a lazy writer, like a sort of like better writer would come up with some better circumstances as opposed to just throwing the monster. But Horikoshi's like, I'm just going to go. I know I can do this fight scene really good. I know I can do all this emotional stuff really good. I'm just going to focus on that. So credit towards him for just getting into it, even though the high end is kind of like comes out of nowhere. It gets explained a little bit better afterwards, but it's still kind of like a lazy device.
Well, like throw in the Nomu at him kind of deal.
Yeah, it just sort of like we need to have a big fight scene. It just comes out.
Yeah, I guess that was pretty convenient. This just as they're talking about this is they have this new Nomu, and then it comes crashing through the window. Like that felt like amazingly convenient.
Yeah, there's a little. It was. I'm not going to deny it's super mega hyper contrived, but
yep.
At the same time, it works just because
My hero's struggle is just so damn fast a lot of the time. Like the story progresses so fast, like all the time throughout the series.
It's like a manga that it's going fast for it's going too fast for its own good. It's the manga that's too fast.
Maybe Horikoshi is actually Hawks instead, and he's trying to push the number 2 manga to be the best manga. I don't know.
Well, it's weird that you should mention that because, like, it's funny because I remember reading somewhere that someone said that, like, Horikoshi said in an interview, he likes to have short arcs because he doesn't know if he's going to get canceled, so he's always afraid of that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's like this psychological thing that's been driven in him for having 2 failed series that he just needs to end shit as quickly as possible. And it's funny because like right now in the manga, there's this super mega hyper war going on, and I'm thinking to myself, is this the end of the series? This feels like a potential series ending, and it's a shame because like I thought like with this new setup you could have stretched things out really much longer. It's really funny, and it's something I want to talk with Zavul eventually about, like, a larger topic, is, like, what's the difference between something that's, like, going on for too long versus something that's ending too quickly? What's the exact proper length?
Interesting.
Because, like, to take us off topic for a little bit...
Like it would feel too rushed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think it would feel too rushed in some way? I don't know.
Because, like, I'm wondering with My Hero, like, there's with the manga right now, there's several ways he can take it. There's a lot of things he can do. He could introduce a new villain. He could do a time jump and show what Deku's sidekick life looks like. But he'd have to introduce a new threat. He could be introducing this new threat and ending the Shigaraki story only to introduce a new storyline, and then that continues in the time jump. Or maybe he's just wrapping it up. I've also heard rumors that he only has 30 volumes of story in mind, and this might be the Avengers Endgame of My Hero Academia that we're seeing right now.
Yeah. So how do you continue after Endgame? We don't even know. How do you continue after something that epic?
Yeah, like I said, it's the end game of My Hero Academia right now. So I don't know. Maybe he's wrapping up the series. Maybe he feels like around 300 chapters is all he's got in him, and that he's ready to like go off into the sunset until he has another idea.
Well, I have a feeling of how he should end it, and probably somewhat how he ended the movie, My Hero movie.
Oh wait, before we segue into that, one thing I've got to... So I'm making you catch up with The Promised Neverland. We're going to do a stream on that eventually in a podcast review. And the funny thing is that, like, The Promised Neverland feels like it's in this mix of, like, it's trying to end, but it keeps on extending its ending.
Oh, yeah. Like, it can't end, like, right now, necessarily, until all the kids escape from the world, I imagine.
Well, that's the thing. You're not that far behind, and you're at the point where they're, like, about to beat the evil, bad human bad guy and see his end. And then...
I want to watch out for spoilers, though.
Yeah.
people are.
And it feels like that should be the end, but right now they're introducing more things where it's like, hey, this is apparently like was the number 3 best-selling manga of 2009, and it's like we got to keep this ship going, we got to keep it going, we got to keep on keep it going, even though you said this is going to be the final arc and you were going to wrap shit up.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that eventually. I have lots of conflicted feelings about The Promised Neverland.
Yeah, same.
But the funny thing is that apparently it sold 7 million copies, and Naruto at its peak, like that was like the highest it ever sold.
Well, one of the great things about Promised Neverland, though, is the artwork. Artwork has still been like pretty good. Like all those beautiful like color cover pages and everything. You know, they do a lot of great art with that, but it's fun to look at. But
it is nice to look at.
Story wise, hasn't been hitting.
So let's go. So, what would you rate the episode of the Hero Charts, and what would you rate the epic finale with Endeavor? What? Give me a rating.
Epic Hero Charts. That's probably like that was like a 6. it was kind of mediocre. It felt like let's check out who's the best now that All Might is gone. Like who are the top heroes? Like
yes and no. I agree with you. I think it's definitely 6.5. I thought the material was strong. I just thought it was like the laziest execution of that material. It was like told in the most uninteresting way.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like I showed you the manga, and how much cooler did Hawks look when he's like flying in the air with the microphone in the manga than he did in the anime?
Yeah, the manga did look a little bit better. Like it was flashier in the manga. But yeah, I think I didn't really want to see like all the heroes ranked. I guess I kind of just wanted to skip to like the top 3 or something, top 4. They should have just skipped to the top the top 3. Honestly,
didn't you want to see all those crazy character designs, like the samurai hero and the crust hero and sexy rabbit girl, who's probably already has like tons of Rule 34 art?
Okay, maybe rabbit girl. But like skip through most of them, and then get to like the main point, because like I feel like nobody really cares about these other heroes. Like at this point, Hirikoshi he isn't gonna go back to like the ninja guy like and make him interesting. He's not gonna go back to like the really really old guy. I forget what his thing was.
The beetle guy, the beetle armor guy.
Was it a beetle armor guy? Yeah. They're never gonna bring them back.
He could, maybe he probably won't. But
it just felt like a waste of time. Hirikoshi, he's very quick. He wants the story done quick. He should have just done it quick, right towards the ending of that ranking.
But what about the Wash character? Don't you want to know what Wash is about?
Just do like a funny one-liner thing of him saying Wash, but don't even mention his ranking. Don't even mention his ranking. Just do Wash, and then like maybe Deku and the others talking in the background, like talk about these heroes are interesting, like blah blah blah. Someone such and such was ranked blah 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 last year, but now. Hawks, he's risen the ranks once again.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting content, shoddily executed, but I still loved how it built up Endeavor in his role of number 1. And that episode with freaking Endeavor and his fiery, is that a 10 out of 10 for you?
Yes. The animation for that fight was so spectacular. It felt like the animation, like even beyond like something that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure would do. like part 5 JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like because of the animation for JoJo's part 5 was also really amazing, but this was just like, this was bonkers. Like you couldn't see like everything that was happening. Like you might have to watch it like again,
Yeah,
just to see everything that's going on. But like the building getting slashed in half, like it took me like half a second to realize like, oh shit, that was like the Nomu and Endeavor, like also spinning around in that little
that little frisbee, and then he's just like, I love that stupid. I love that fire frisbee.
Like, there's just so many like stretching of like proportions, and everyone's like physical or fiery nature, like in that animation, just like really pushed the boundaries of everything with that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought they did a brilliant job. I mean, I had a feeling that they were going to knock it out of the park, and they did. They did a great job. That's how you do it. You take several chapters of manga and you condense it down as quickly as possible, and you create a 10 out of 10 fight scene.
This is probably, I don't know which is my favorite fight scene now. It's either this one or the Todoroki Deku fight.
And another thing, did you also like the symbology? I mean, this was kind of basic symbology, 101, where it's like, did you like how Endeavor, the creature was like, I only want to fight the strongest. Who's the strongest? I gotta fight the strongest. And then Endeavor's like, you are a dark version of what I was. And just like I'm trying to burn it, I'm gonna burn you up like you are the past version of me, something only concerned with strength.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I didn't really like I wasn't too invested in that, but that was like a nice little side thing. I think the main real emotional impact of that fight was, his kids like looking at him through the TV, be like, we kind of despise this guy, but we still really want him to win. It's like, there's this love-hate relationship with him, and you really see that when they're all reacting to him fighting, and Endeavor like giving it his all, and like it looks like he's about to lose like horribly, but he pushes through at the very end, like with help of Hawks too.
Yeah,
like which I didn't expect like Hawks to be that much help during this fight at all.
Well, he was definitely a support guy, and it was.
Yeah.
And you thought, what do you think of his wing quirk now that you got to see it in action? I think it's definitely one of the more creative superpowers. Well, in terms of like, he's got the little wings and they fly around and he can control them and like psychically.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was a little bit more disadvantage to that. Like, if he plucks out too many wings, like he starts to get more physically hurt somehow, or maybe
he can't fly as well.
This is mentally taxing, and he gets a headache or something like that.
So before we get into the movie, though, one last thing. So you're going through Kimetsu no Yaiba, Demon Slayer. How do you think how do you think My Hero is holding up to Demon Slayer? Because Demon Slayer has now become the new hotness for a brief moment.
I still think My Hero is better. It's still too early for me because I've only just gotten into Demon Slayer, but the fighting in that is kind of cool, like how the main character Tanjiro, he finds the string that leads him to cut the demon's head off in one swift stroke. Like that's pretty cool. And like how, I'm not sure, it doesn't seem like when he's like, when the water's coming out of his sword, it's like, it's more symbolic than it is like an actual physical water.
Yeah. I think it's more like supposed to be metaphorical versus like, he can't drink the water that's coming out of his sword.
Right. So I kind of like how there's like a lot of like metaphors while they're fighting, I guess. And that's something that, it's different. It's it's a different kind of way of uh, animating a fight scene than something with a lot of like crazy action, like My Hero Academia. Like uh, Demon Slayer, it doesn't have like insane animation all the time.
I don't know. I think there's some really, really good stuff in Demon. Well, my opinion of Demon Slayer is I think it's kind of an okay manga that got like a 10 out of 10 adaptation that's being risen above its station. Kind of like Soul Eater.
Yeah. Well, so far I am enjoying it, and they got some fun characters in it too, and I think they play off with each other.
Tat, your boy Tato's got some fighting words. He says Tanjiro is better than Deku.
Kappa. That means he's sarcastic. That means sarcastic.
Okay. I didn't know that the Kappa meant sarcasm, but do you like Deku better than Tanjiro, or do you like everyone's little favorite emo boy?
I still like Deku better. I think Deku is a pretty, he's a pretty fun main character to follow at this point. Tanjiro, not much else going on with him besides, he's got this sense of smell, and
he's a very nice boy who's very nice.
Yes.
He's very nice.
He's a very nice boy. He's very
nice. Very nice.
In a way, they are a little bit similar. Like, they're both kind of like OCD, kind of like people nice in that way.
I think, Tanjiro's defining thing is that he's kind, and that's the whole point that differentiates him when he's like beating up a demon or killing a demon, is that like he's empathetic for all their sob stories, and he empathizes with them, so he gives them like a nice fate, and he shows that he's like, it's like, oh, you played the Tamari really good, you're a good boy, demon, I'm sorry it happened to you.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a shonen trash boy. I'm always a sucker for anything where there's like, oh, this is the power system. Oh, here's the really strong guys, and then they got to fight the blank strong guys. So, I'll follow anything like that. But I still think it's like kind of like.
But Chainsaw Man doesn't have that.
Oh, Chainsaw Man's so great. To all of you watching this who haven't seen the video, go check out my Chainsaw Man video. I really want you to go watch the Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is so great, and we'll probably come back soon and do a nice new live stream to talk about the recent batshit crazy chapters of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man's pretty fun. It's better than Fire Punch, that's for sure.
So let's get into the My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. So what do you think of the movie?
Movie was pretty good. I wish Invisible Girl had more moments, more highlights during the fights. I think she could have like stealthily like sneaked up behind some of these enemies and like blinded them, like especially like that puppet guy. The guy who was like making puppets out of objects. You know what I mean?
What? Oh, the guy who like consumes stuff.
Consumes. I think he had like a bandage power. He can like bandage things and turn them into puppets. Like, do you remember? And Bakugo was the one who beat him.
Yeah. When he's like possessing the kids, and he's like, well, he was kind of like a nothing character. He was just like literally just there for fight porn.
Yeah, I know. The whole movie felt like fight porn, honestly. It was a big fight porn movie, and they showed off Deku's like new gear where he could flick things.
Yeah, that's what I thought was really interesting. Is that like this movie was like typically the way these movies are produced is that, like they go to a certain point where they can feature stuff from the anime. But this one was like showing shit from the manga that hadn't appeared in the anime yet. So I was amazed that like him using the air power glove was like the first time I saw it was in the fucking movie before the anime had its debut.
Yeah, that was interesting that they made that decision. Like Maybe they shouldn't have waited, but it felt okay. Like, Hirokoshi, just by nature, he seems to like to rush to things. So this felt like, yeah, it felt okay to do that before it even showed in the anime. Like even revealing Hawks.
True. True. And yeah, did you enjoy? Well, Hawks doesn't really do much of anything.
No, and he doesn't really live up to his name by being, the too fast. When I see him on the screen, I'm like, you don't really seem that fast. Like, I guess when you explain it to me earlier, like he's too fast in his progression. Like that makes more sense. Like I guess that's why he's called Too Fast.
Well, it's not so much that he's like a speedster. It's just like he's moving too fast in his career goals.
Right.
Then then like
He's moving too fast in his career goals.
Yeah, that's where his speed comes from.
He's going to retire in like a couple years or something.
Yeah, there you go. Hawks is going for that golden watch, and he's a millennial who sells his like tech company at like 25 and then retires. That is what Hawks' arc is.
Yeah, that seems like it's it. But yeah, the main thing I really liked about this movie was like probably when all the heroes were like finally working together to fight these villains and doing like really interesting power combination combos. Like sometimes if it's just like a one-on-one hero fight, it doesn't really do it with me because there's only so many things like that one hero can do.
Yeah, that's what Horikoshi kind of like wrote himself in a corner, that like a lot of the characters have like very niche powers and there's like only one thing they can do with it.
Right. So really it's more like it's got to be like a X-Men style kind of show.
And that's one thing I think he did a really good. Well, supposedly Horikoshi supervised it, and considering the big thing that happens towards the end, which we'll get to, it feels like something like I feel like a regular production team wouldn't be able to like mess with the lore that unless they had some sort of blessing from the creator. But that was sort of like a great thing, is that they showcased all the various classmates. They all got their little hero moments, whether it was them like helping out people on the island or like the big villain showdown where they all like try and hold them off and they have this sort of defense barrier and they're just like fighting as much as they can to buy time.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess one of the best parts was that last fight, like towards the end of that last fight, where Deku and Bakugo were just kind of like on their last legs of life, and Deku does this kind of like unthinkable thing. He's like, I have one idea left, and he just transfer his All Might power to Bakugo, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I can't believe Horikoshi gave them the permission to do that. That feels like such an end of the series, like break the internet moment where it has like a full color page where like Shigaraki's killed everyone and Bakugo and Deku are like broken, and then Deku as like his last legs shares All for One, and then they both do an All for One fucking Detroit smash together, and they did a really good job of animating it when they both had it. And it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe you gave that to this like throwaway villain who's like, vaguely related to All for One and the League of Villains, but he was like kind of a mediocre villain.
I think Hirikoshi should have just been like, yes, this is continuity now. Let's have Deku like completely powerless, and now Bakugo is the one with All Might's powers. That would have been so cool.
That would have been sad, but I would have respected the balls out of it. Like, I always respect people. Maybe that's half the reason why I love Chainsaw Man so much, is because he's always doing very bold decisions. Because, like, in Chainsaw Man, after they have that, like, everyone's bonding and they kill the Eternity Devil, It felt like, okay, you've got a status quo. I like the status quo. These characters are fun. It's fun to hear them interact. Let's go see them just like do Monster of the Week devil hunting. I would have been fine with that. That would have been okay. Oh wait, you're gonna throw the table across.
Like, I think they just kill off one of the mentor characters, right?
Yeah. Himio.
Oh yeah, and the other guy too. I
respect creators who have big brass balls. If Horikoshi had super mega hyper balls of Deku giving all for one to Bakugo, and then he becomes like the Oracle and supporting him on the side, I would, mad respect. But he was never going to do that. And the real question is, are we going to see them do it again before the series is over?
Yeah, that's a thing sometimes with anime movies. It's just gotta be like, it's gotta be fight porn, honestly, because you can't have any like sticking story with it, and this is the nature of the beast. I wish there was like more of a sticking story sometimes.
Yeah, something that was like more crucial canon. Like, I think we would all go ape shit if like there was a One Piece movie that was just like a whole backstory of Goldie Roger.
That would be pretty cool. Like an OVA, just like backstory on a character.
Yeah, that I think would be the best way to like handle these movies, is like give us some canon or some sort of side character that you wouldn't have time to like show us otherwise. But that usually doesn't happen. It's like sort of like, let's showcase the things that you love, and usually because most manga characters or shonen manga characters are pretty two-dimensional. There's not much you can do with them, and you can't do much that like conflicts with the canon.
Do all those Rohan OVAs in like super like hyper anime quality.
Well, I don't know, those Rohan OVAs, they'll always look like they're well animated.
The art style is not quite up to what Part 5 is. Nor the animation quality, I'd say, but I think they're using a different studio. At least someone draws the characters differently.
Well, it's funny though. Like, I don't know. Some people are saying like they're talking about how they like the idea of, they're like responding in the comments about I like the idea of like Deku being powerless and he has to support Bakugo. The only problem is I feel like that's beyond the scope of what Horikoshi can write.
Yeah, but I still think he should try.
I feel like Horikoshi's like a guy who understands his limitations and just draws it's funny to compare him to like the Black Clover mangaka guy. The Black Clover mangaka isn't as good of a storyteller as Horikoshi. So he's just like, I'm going to shonen the shit out of it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to shonen the crap out of it. Well, Horikoshi's a better storyteller, but he's not as refined as someone like, say, Tagashi or Oda when he's got firing on all cylinders. So he's sort of like, crap, I don't know if I'm going to like actually be able to pull this off, but you know what? I'm just going to like forget about the details and I'm just going to go to this like really big emotional moment that I know I can sell.
Yeah, like Horikoshi, he'll just give you the most flashiest like Michael Bay kind of like anime you've ever seen. This is the hyper fucking awesome short and sweet anime moment.
Yeah, he's really good for that. He's like, he just sort of rushes into those and doesn't really worry himself about like the other characters or fleshing out the world, or just sort of like having really long arcs that take their time. He's like, I'm like, it's funny, you should mention it. Your least favorite arc of My Hero is the longest arc. The
overhaul arc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think any of those weaknesses I discussed sort of reach your hand?
I guess I don't know why. I guess maybe I just want Horikoshi to go fast like Sonic, I guess. When I see him like, I see him trying to do a long arc like this, I just like, none of these characters, I don't really I know he doesn't want them to last. He doesn't want some of these characters, all these characters to shine, like my face right now. He doesn't want all these characters to shine necessarily. He just wants to get to the point. And the point was Deku beating the shit out of Overhaul or but I also think someone else should have beaten Overhaul besides Deku.
Because you feel like Deku hasn't quite earned that status yet.
Yeah, because this is like he was on a provisional license mission. Like he was an intern basically beating the crap out of he was an intern leading the charge in a police raid or something like that. in the Yakuza police raid. Okay? It's like, why do you have the intern leading the charge?
Well, there you go. Horikoshi wasn't smart enough to come up with a setup to limit Deku and have him, but he knows he has to have the main character, the main shonen hero fight the big bad guy.
But in One Piece, like let's take One Piece for example. He realized, Oda realized like him fighting and beating Big Mom just was too early. Like, you fight the second in command and make that a fucking epic fight.
So that's interesting, and it's funny you should compare that because that's one thing I think Horikoshi drew himself in a corner. I think he needed a more defined hero ranking chart because assumingly the top 10, there's not much room for that. I think he needed a system like the One Punch Man, where there's like S rank heroes and A rank heroes, so that way Deku is a little bit more of a climb. Because once he gets on the chart, he's practically there.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's an interesting sort of observation that Luffy's been at this for 800 chapters, and Big Mom is the top of the hierarchy, and still Oda knew that Luffy can't beat Big Mom because he's not Yanko level ready and he's not worth it, so he should just be able to fight the commander.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone, Mr. Triple A says he wasn't leading the charge. That was Night Eye.
But he was the one breaking down all the walls, what's his name? Eraserhead guy. Be like, Deku, you go on ahead.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. There was sort of like I said, it uses the Choji fight structure where it's we gotta fight this bad guy. We're gonna go ahead, which I guess you could think is kind of dumb. Where it's it should be let the interns and a hero stay behind, and then let the pro heroes go ahead.
Right. Yeah. It was very similarly structured to the Sasuke Rescue Sasuke arc from the Sound Ninja. So you theoretically let the lesser heroes fight off against the lesser villains until you get to the main fight. But in this case, the main star shouldn't necessarily have been the main star attraction fight shouldn't necessarily have been Deku versus the boss of the Yakuza. It should have been Deku versus Second Command.
That's what Deku's worthy for.
Yeah. And you have a good point that none of those other heroes can break down walls, but Deku can. But I guess what I mean by leading the charge, I mean Deku has to be the one that fights the final boss. In theory, you could have let Deku stay behind where Eraserhead stayed behind.
And then he fights some sort of sub-boss?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's fair. Well, what do you think about Deku fighting Incredible 9? Or you just didn't give a shit about 9 because he was kind of discount all for one?
I didn't care that much about it at all. It's it's hard to care about any of those villains, honestly. The only villain I care about, only couple of villains I care about in this series are uh, fucking, oh god, I can't, blanking on the name. You know which ones? The
What?
two ones.
Shigaraki and All for One.
Yes.
No,
So,
I think there have been like some pretty strong villains throughout the
oh,
series.
and Gentle,
I think there have been some pretty good strong villains. I just think that, like, you know, filler villain is filler villain. You know, like, even his objective is like, we're gonna make a world that only the strong can survive. And it's like, there you go. That's your token villain motivation.
Do you ever care to see like Stain again? Like, come back and fight them again? I don't.
You wouldn't want to see Stain again?
I mean, he'd just get his ass beat again. Like he doesn't have anything else. He's like kind of like a one note kind of villain, in my opinion.
I'd be interested to see him come back. I kind of love that he was like an underdog villain with a shitty quirk, but he's just like, oh, I'm so good with these fucking knives. I'm just gonna keep on, you know, cutting people down until the real hero who doesn't care about fame and glory comes to the front.
Right. But I mean, he's just going to do the same thing. He's going to target heroes who just look for fame and glory. So maybe he'll target like Hawks.
Well, that would be, if he did come back, I feel like it would be a point of like, how's the world changed? Would he become an anti-hero and team up with the heroes? Something like that.
Or maybe he would hunt the villains. Like, I don't know. You have to do something more interesting with this character again for the second time around.
Well, as of right now, he's not come back. And although that does sound like an idea for like a terrible movie, if there was a third My Hero Academia movie, Stain gets out of prison and then he gets more powers and then they gotta fight him.
Yeah. Every time I think of Stain, I think of that lizard guy, and then I think of Ninja Turtles. Like, I know Stain is he's probably based off Ninja Turtles on it.
Yeah, I think he's like a very explicit Ninja Turtles homage, as well as the lizard guy who imitates him.
Yeah. And what is lizard guy's power? Like, he's just scaly and has swords.
He's a lizard man. That's it.
It's kind of like,
some people get good quirks.
Like
other people just get, they just become lizard men.
Okay. You remember that? Remember that arc where it's like everyone's trained to find like a superpower version move? What's Tail Guy's superpower move? Is it just like become a thicker tail to slap people with thick tail attack?
He gets even better with his tail. I don't know. Hirkoshi wrote himself in a corner. I don't know what he's going to do with Tail Guy.
You could do a ton of shit with duct tape, that's for sure. Like,
you love that duct tape.
Duct tape guy, for sure, you could do a ton of.
Oh, good old duct tape guy. It's still ridiculous that, like, human evolution led to a man who shoots duct tape from his wrists.
That guy deserves his own story arc. Like, him and Invisible Girl, I think they deserve a story arc.
They're your favorite fucking characters. You just love him and Invisible Girl.
I mean, Frog Girl's pretty good too. Don't get me wrong, but like, I think some of these lesser characters deserve a little bit more limelight. To like have their own like personalized story arcs. But maybe that's just me. But it kind of goes against what Hirokoshi's style is.
Well, so some people are good. Oda's decent at balancing multiple characters. Hirikoshi, I don't think it's his best strength. He can only focus on one or two things at a time. And to his credit, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. I guess that's true. But yeah, I think maybe a My Hero Academia movie where Deku isn't the main character. Maybe that would be kind of interesting.
That would be ballsy, because like I remember that would be balls of steel. Because like, so what would you rate the movie if you had to give it a rating?
It's like a 6.5.
Really? I thought like it was at least an 8.5 because like I really loved the end twist and I thought they did a great job with the fight porn. But I mean, I do agree.
I had to wait all the way till the end for that, though.
And you got like that incredible scene where it's like the guys, the big monster man is just sieging the freaking mountain, and then they all like try and hold out against him.
Yeah, we had to wait for the rest of the movie to finish until that part. So I would say the rest of the movie kind of like counterbalanced.
You had cute moments where they're like doing like little benign shit, and Bakugo's like, "Fuck it, I'm only gonna do something real."
That was okay, I guess. That kind of felt like, yeah, this is like a filler episode of My Hero Academia, like half a filler, like a quarter, like an eighth of a filler episode of My Hero Academia that they had somehow to stretch, and then introduce these cutesy.
There's nothing I fucking hate more than like random shonen kids, where like every one of these fucking movies always has some random filler kids where it's like, it's like this fantasy of like the kids of Japan. Hey, wouldn't you like to hang out with Deku or Naruto or Luffy? Hey, here's this fucking shonen little filler character who they're gonna go hang out with, and we're never gonna see again, and they're gonna have this contrived little arc.
Maybe this movie wasn't for our age demographic, to be honest. Like, I feel like it was probably meant for more for younger kids, like to.
I don't know. You got them being beaten up pretty badly, and then you also had the incredible, sharing the all for one or one for all, which was like a pretty balls to the wall moment.
Yeah, like no, that animation was really cool and everything. I've just like, in terms of like story and plot, like I feel like these movies are kind of meant.
It's a hard line. It's a hard line to like, because like I like the ones where you can actually feel like the creator had some sort of input and some quasi lore significance.
Yeah.
Versus just like generic, because then it's just like really expensive filler, which is what most shonen anime movies are.
There's some really well animated filler. Like I stumbled upon like this really cool like scene where Rock Lee is like fighting against this stupid generic like villain, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of badass. But like, what's the point of watching this? Like, I know this villain is like a piece of shit.
You can even tell. I'm sure the villain had like a terrible design.
I feel like all those hours animating this wasted. Like, it's cool. It looks cool, but just like maybe Photoshop the face of that villain with something a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, like the filler designs for Naruto were especially egregious. They were like just abysmal, and they looked
remember
miserable.
The Stupid Brothers, like
yeah.
Literally called the Stupid Brothers. Just the sad. This is how sad filler can get, and it really gets bad. Like, doesn't matter what kind of animation you throw at it. Just a bad story is a bad story.
Yeah, that is true. I won't deny that. The bad story is the bad story, and even like great animation. But Deku giving Bakugo the all for one and that incredible animation, which is like
that was really cool. That was really cool, but I waited a long time. I waited a very long time.
I'm a little bit more generous. I like it with lore, so that's why I'm sticking with 8.5. But yeah, obviously I hate filler kids as much as anyone else, and filler also feels like a time waster.
Yeah. But Endeavor Fight, that was different. Emotional impact, character driven.
That's like firing on full cylinders.
Lots of things going on with that.
It's a big cannon fight. It's got a lot of emotional beats. Oh, you still there? Looks like you got disconnected for a second.
Oh, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh yeah, Naruto definitely does need a Kai re-release, like a Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. Tata was mentioning that in the chat, and I think Naruto's just gonna become this thing that never dies. It'll be like Dragon Ball Z, and like I'm amazed that like I still see like young fans, and like recently Boruto was trending because people were excited that like after 150 episodes it was adapting the shitty manga that wasn't even overseen by Kishimoto. That's like not even very good.
Yeah, I mean, the universe of Naruto is just so like it's really cool, and like making ninjas like that cool with like crazy powers, like a cool power system too, and chakra, and like having that level of diversity too. It just that was really something special when it first came out.
Well, that's why it became a global spanning sensation. Although I am desperate for you to read Samurai 8 and do a stream about that.
I yeah. I don't know. After Boruto and everything, then
the sad thing is, I wish I could be more enthusiastic, but I really don't like Samurai 8. And you want to hear something really depressing?
I mean, I would read Samurai 8 over the new the Witch anime or the Witch manga.
The Witch manga is only one chapter.
Yeah, even that I can't stand.
Well, you want to hear something interesting about Samurai 8?
What?
It's canceled.
What? They canceled the manga?
After only 43 chapters, it did so abysmally that even with Kishimoto's big swinging dick of like, I made Naruto, it got canceled.
Okay.
So now it's a completed series.
So they finished the story arcs and everything? They had
I need to read it. I don't think Kishimoto made this with like a 43 chapter thing. I'm not up to date. I was getting so frustrated that I literally, or annoyed that I dropped it. But obviously I'm going to go back now and see how it all wrapped up. But I just thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
Now he knows the pain of his poor younger brother who keeps on making weird manga after weird manga, and they always get canceled.
Okay. I see a comment in the comments here. Nightmare Terumi says, they aren't ninjas, they are wizards who think they are ninjas. I would disagree somewhat with that. All right, I'll take an example. Black Clover. This is like something that's desperately trying to be like Naruto. Like they're very wizardry, right? And this is a more wizardry anime or manga than Naruto, right? But with Naruto, at least you have like like other weapons like ninja throw stars and.
Well, there's like, there's the genjutsu, there's the taijutsu, then there's the regular jutsu, and then there's, weapons and jinjuruki and all kinds of other facets.
And like, what was the term for that? Like logging out, like when you think you're attacking someone, but then they're actually a log.
Oh, the kunai log? I forget what the log was that everyone did. Placement jutsu.
Call it log out, kind of. So, there are some, things incorporated with, ninja stuff. Of course, it gets like super powered towards the end to almost ridiculousness. But, like look at the Chunin exam. Like there was a lot of like ninja stuff that they had to do, like cheating on the answers for the tests.
Well, that was definitely at its peak when it was more lo-fi superpowers versus. Eventually that's what we all come for, and I think that's also a big reason why My Hero has been so successful. Is that like the My Hero power set is on a much smaller scale than most other shonen.
Yeah, well, because of that, I feel like the series is going to end a lot quicker, though, which is why.
Because of that natural sense of escalation that, like, Deku isn't going to be able to destroy a planet. At most, like, maybe he knocks down a building. That's like the top of the My Hero power scale.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
Well, Horikoshi wrote himself in a corner, and I'm very curious after the arc that's running now if he's like gonna extend it or if he's gonna like just be I'm done. I'm happy.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I think you know, less content is sometimes a really good thing.
You know, sometimes you want, you know, if you want to have a like a really strong story, and it's better to have that strong story end on a high note than just like have yourself dragged into the ground. That was one thing that you know, Kishimoto wrote himself in a corner, is that like as he was like getting rid of the Katsuki, he didn't introduce another bad guy team for the final war. So by the end, when it came to the final war, it was just like, you know, Obito, Kisame. Well, Kisame didn't make it. It was Obito,
Mandara.
Kabuto, and that was mainly it. And then he had to like come up with a bunch of dead ninjas and Zetsu clones to like come up with an opposing force. And obviously, we're not invested in that. And that, you know, we're not invested as that in the same way that we are invested in like Luffy versus the Marines to save Ace, or Luffy versus Blackbeard, or the eventual final war of One Piece.
Maybe there shouldn't have been a ninja war to begin with. It should have been just like maybe three badass ninjas like trying to take out a few Kage, like actually take out a few Kage, and then like they raid the.
I don't have anything wrong with a giant, huge war. You know, the Marineford War shows you can like pull it off really well if you have it planned out and if you have it built up enough. The question is that
Akatsuki like got whittled down to like nothing. Like,
yeah.
The course of that, after the course of all those missions, like how are they gonna you know protect this tree? Maybe I don't know.
The war was not set up well, and the fact that like, you know, he kept on having to introduce more villains as he went on, you know, just made it worse and worse. Because I don't know if it was the editorial department who was like, you know, you got to keep it going, and then he eventually was able to negotiate. Okay, 700 chapters, that's it. I'm done.
And then suddenly the mother of all chakra like appears at the end of it, just for icing on the cake.
Oh, that was padding of the worst and the ultimate, and probably like the worst fight he's ever written.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just kind of like, that was like seriously milking everything that Naruto was worth.
When like, she's like poking through the little rabbit holes and shooting out little black sticks from her hands.
Yeah. They should have just made Toby the final villain.
Yeah, Toby should have been it. Toby should have been the final villain, and that would have been fine.
And I think that would have had a great like emotional impact, like compared to like Madara. Like maybe he shows up for a little bit, but I would like to see like the younger generation like somehow beat Madara if they resurrected him.
He didn't really do. Madara was just like a fight porn bullet sponge. You know, there wasn't really much for him.
Yeah,
Obito was the more interesting villain. He's the evil. We've seen a billion versions of Dark Naruto, but he's like the one who like actually went above and beyond and to the final edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I agreed. He's kind of like the antithesis to Naruto in a way.
So, you know, it was built up enough. The sins of Kakashi come to the sins of the future, and how's Naruto gonna like use his friendship no jutsu to like come through to Obito, who's the ultimate dark, shitty version of him, who's like so bitter and angry that he's like fighting this war on behalf of this dead skeleton.
Yeah, and then after that Obito fight, then you have Naruto and Sasuke fight. Naruto and Sasuke fight.
Honestly, like, this is what should have happened. It should have been Sasuke becomes evil, and he's like a big super power up, and he's like killing people in the ninja war. He's super mega powerful. Naruto and Sasuke fight each other, and then they team up, and then he becomes a good guy, and then they fight against the mega hyper powerful Obito. I think the Naruto Sasuke fight needed to be dealt with before like the final boss.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Because like that was one of the worst things that Kishimoto did, is that when he had Sasuke come back before like having their central conflict resolved, so then it's like it felt like the team up was unearned.
That's a good point.
They needed to get their shit resolved, then they team up. You know, it's the most classic shonen trope, but it always works. It's in wrestling, and you know, it's like an overworn trope. But if you do it, it's like really cool when you see the bad guy or the guy who became the bad guy, you know, suddenly become the good guy, and then they're teaming up, and then you're like, yeah.
Yeah, no, that you're right. I agree with that now. Yep. And then you finally, after all that, then you have those three ninja, Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. They finally team up against Obito.
Exactly, and then they fight you kind of had that moment where they like both summon their animal beasts and they fight against I don't know, the fucking 10 tails blah 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 monster fight form. I don't care.
Yeah,
But you know, it was like a big moment, but it was a shitty moment because it was executed at the wrong time.
yeah, no, you're right. I agree with that. Um, that makes sense because it kind of like put that tension between Sasuke and Naruto on hold.
Yeah, and it was just stupid to just have that like in the background when it was like Sasuke should have taken his place on the throne as the ultimate villain. We'd have all those arcs where he was like, you know, kidnapping the rapping Jinchuuriki and doing all this stuff and, you know, attacking the Cage Summit and doing all this, killing his little fangirl. So, you know, go full villain. Versus, you know, I'm going to have Orochimaru come back so he can resurrect the Kage so they can give me a personal history lesson. So then, I'm going to be good for this minute.
What if Sasuke was an instrumental figure behind the ninja war?
He should have been. You know, he was pretty evil. Go all out. Make him fully evil. He should have been like part of the fucking Akatsuki team, and you know, he should have been some bullshit.
Akatsuki was like sort of like pulling the strings a little bit, like using Sasuke to their advantage, and then like setting up the tree.
I don't know if you needed the tree, but the tree, I think we could have lived without the tree.
Well, they needed something to set up for the whole moon thing, the infinite genjutsu thing, right? Because that was the whole plan to create.
Yeah, that was to create world peace and put everyone in like a dream.
Right. So yeah.
But all right. So I think this was a fun little discussion. Any final thoughts on the My Hero season 4 and the movie?
Season 4, really good. So really excited for what's to come. It's just like it's so sweet, short and sweet. It feels like there's not a whole lot to talk about sometimes, but even though we've probably been talking for like 2.5 hours or
hour and a half, give or take.
Hour and a half. I just really enjoyed that last episode.
It was a strong episode. I think it was a really good note to like end on a strong point. You know, makes people want more and makes up for it was a good 1-2 punch of like the lighter arc and then the super heavy arc.
Yeah.
Because I did think, you know, I think they did a good job with Gentil, and I think they did a good job of whatchamacallit.
Gentil and this Endeavor fight. Those are my two things about this season. Overhaul, it wasn't that spectacular.
I'm surprised because, like, I still like the fact that Overhaul is like a better version of Shigaraki. To like, well, here's my question though:
cool. Lemillion was cool, and like how he fought Overhaul with like no powers, still fighting him.
Did you not like the moment though when Shigaraki gets his vengeance on Overhaul?
Yeah, it was okay. It was like it was pretty funny. Like I kind of wonder like why didn't he just kill him? Why did he just disintegrate his arms?
I think Shigaraki really wanted to spite him, so he's like, "You don't like your quirk? Well, okay, now you can't use it anymore." He was like, his idea is like, what's better than killing you? Oh, it's like taking away your greatest creation and then you knowing that I used it for my own ends and you have to live with it while you're sitting around with no hands.
So they broke him out of. They essentially broke him out of like prison. Well, going to prison, and then, despite him, just disintegrated his arms.
Well, Mr. Compress, who lost an arm to him, well, because he had a special reason to be spiteful to Overhaul, because Overhaul
could have killed one of his dudes.
Yeah, not only did he kill one of his dudes, he could have easily brought him back.
Yeah, and he didn't.
And he didn't.
Yeah, that. I think that could have been.
And he also took a hand off of Mr. Compress. And he easily could have given it back. We've shown that he can regenerate shit if he feels like it.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, that was a double whammy. But it was kind of like they killed one guy for one guy, right? They killed one of his guys for one.
Yeah, but his guy was a little bit more important because he was like the transgender guy. And, he sort of fit into the theme of the League of Villains being like this haven for misfits and people who are misunderstood who are just fighting for their right in society.
I'm just saying, like, like in terms of their motivations, like they each lost one guy to the other. So, in some sense, you could say that they're even and they can negotiate from there. But Shigaraki, he's still pretty spiteful, even besides that. He's not willing to look past that, I don't think, in terms of negotiating. But he kind of left it to his minions to decide that, honestly. He didn't really decide that on his own until his minions were like, or his other dudes, maybe I shouldn't call them minions, but his other dudes were just like, you know what? This Overhaul guy, he's not really anything special. Let's just fuck off. Yeah.
They were kind of like, Overhaul's minions were completely devoted towards him, but everyone else was kind of like, Shigaraki, his lesson from Overhaul was to learn that, if he shows that he cares about his minions, they'll be devoted towards him. Because they have that big moment where he takes his hands off his face and he shows his face to his people, to Toga and Twice, and he says that, like, I want to build a world for us where we can be happy and safe and whatnot. And that's what, like, made them, like, all right, we're devoted towards you, Shigaraki. You're our ride or die guy for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is the main thing that he was not having.
Yeah, well, I guess it would have been neat to see Shigaraki like come up with like a solid plan to thwart Overhaul as well, but it was kind of just like, just leave it to the wind, kind of thing.
But you didn't love seeing Shigaraki, get his like, fuck yeah moment. He's got a coat. He's gonna bust up some hands.
It's like literally like a couple hours after his minions like left, Shigaraki had to like drive super quick to where Overhaul was getting overhauled towards prison, and then break him out of there and disintegrate him. He was like, ha ha ha, loser. He's just like, he kicked him while he was down, basically. It didn't really show like that much of a badass moment. He just like kicked Overhaul while he was down.
I guess you wanted Shigaraki to like dominate him while he was like in his prime or something, and you feel like that would have been more satisfying.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Like maybe he releases the restraints on Overhaul and then is like, all right, come at me, show me, No, then he's like, let's fight or something. I don't know. Uh, I don't know. This is something better than kicking him
while he was down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that finishes up some good summation thoughts. It was still, nice to see My Hero being part of the shonen hierarchy, the king of the mountain, still maintaining its plus ultra status quo. Maybe we'll have to
kick him even more while he's down. Maybe like disintegrate half of his face or something.
You wanted something even more brutal?
Yeah, so then Overhaul really has motivation, like a really strong motivation for seeking revenge against Shigaraki. Like that'd be pretty fun.
AAA says Shigaraki okay boomered Overhaul, which is almost apt, except for the fact that they're kind of like supposed to be around the same age. Overhaul is supposed to be like 20-ish or something.
Yeah, I don't see Overhaul being a boomer. But
he had a boomer mentality for following the Yakuza, thinking the Yakuza were cool.
Even he had like a young Yakuza's mentalities. Like Overhaul against the former Yakuza boss was like that was like a okay boomer movement.
Right. Yeah. All right. So one last final thing, and then we'll end the stream and say our goodbyes. What grade would you give season 4 now that you've seen it all?
This is an 8.5 for me.
I think it's a good grade. I think it was a strong season. They were a little bit lagging, a little bit areas where it felt like Bones wasn't quite plus ultraing, but they ended on a strong note, and they did some good job with some great materials. I think the only thing that's like holding My Hero back is the fact that it feels like it's been around for too long and it's too culturally ubiquitous, so it felt like season 4 didn't quite have as much hype just because it's been in such an institution, but I still think it's going strong. I still think it's the king of the shonen world.
Yeah.
Even if One Piece is the real king.
Well, it should be in theory, but I mean, the anime...
At least in America fandom, it feels like My Hero is the king. Although Demon Slayer is working hard to Demon Slayer's working hard to supplant it.
Yeah, Demon Slayer's got me curious. I'll check more out.
Well, once Goro finishes catching up with Demon Slayer, we'll do a stream on that, and we'll talk about Demon Slayer.
Is there a lot of content for Demon Slayer so far?
It's like 24, 25 episodes. Standard season.
Just one season so far?
Yeah, well, you want to hear something interesting that Demon Slayer's doing?
What?
So Demon Slayer, the next arc, they're not doing it, well, at least part of it. Like, there's a short arc after where it ended. So they're doing it as a movie.
What?
The next Demon Slayer thing is a movie, which is it's not like a fucking filler movie. It's gonna just adapt a short arc into a full feature length movie.
Well, that'd be pretty cool. I wonder how that would work.
That's something I've never seen before, where it's like, where the movie's actually going to be canon, and assumingly season 2 will take place after the movie at some point.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun.
So that's an interesting thing. But I think you're close to. You're like what, 15 episodes in?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So you're not far, but I will finish my Doro Hedoro, and we will be back. All right. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Always a pleasure to have you in the comments. Thank you, Tato, Nightmare, AAA, Mr. Bob Smith, Jordan Chaser, Chief D Hater, Weird Russian Guy, and all the other people who were in here to hang out with us. I'll try and give you a heads up when we next do a little Ranting review live stream. Also, I'm officially live on Anchor, so I'll give you a link so you can listen to past episodes. And, of course, it's also on my second YouTube channel. So go check that out. And thank you for hanging out. And remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.